Dustin Poirier has recently announced on Twitter/X that he has fight news coming up. Exciting news and could be his last match. We're going to speculate, going through the lightweight top 15, who that would be. Okay, number 1, Arman Tsarukyan. He's in the same team as Dustin in American Top Team. Arman is looking at a title shot with Makhachev next. I don't think Dustin wants to fight a grappler in his last bout, so this doesn't make sense. Moving on to number 2, Charles Oliveira. This would be a good fight, but would the UFC be okay with Charles possibly losing to a guy who's going to retire? Charles still has a few years left. I think we may see Charles versus the winner of Moicano versus Paddy Pimblett or something like that. It would be a war though, so this is possible. Number 3, Justin Gaethje. This is obviously the most likely. Gaethje's KO loss to Holloway was all the way back in April now, which is crazy because it feels like yesterday. So I think Gaethje's timeline recovery in December and January, it could be this. They had a great fight the first time, a crazy KO the second time, so it's a good fight to make and a good fight to hang their hat on. The only thing is, if the UFC feels like Gaethje is in a vulnerable position right now and wants him to lose to an up-and-comer, one more war or KO, Gaethje could retire. So it's not 100% that this is the next fight. Number 4 is Poirier's ranking, so we're moving on to number 5. Dan Hooker. Apparently, Dan Hooker is fighting McGregor now, but their first fight was one of the best fights ever, so this is a viable option. I'd love to see that one more time. Number 6 is Michael Chandler. Their first fight was great. Don't feel like we need to see it again though. I feel it'll play out the same. Some explosive success in the early rounds from Chandler, then Chandler gasses. It's a fun one, but I prefer Gaethje or Hooker. We just didn't see enough from Chandler to convince it'll be different. Number 7 is Beneil Dariush. Now this would be the least hyped one, but if Dariush can take a shot still, this would be a fun, fresh matchup. Beneil has the grappling and power to beat Dustin and make it a fight. I don't think this one's happening though. Number 8 is Max Holloway. Max is booked against Poirier, so this isn't happening. I don't think it makes a lot of sense since Max is 0-2 against Dustin either. Number 9 is Matthias Gamrot. He's a friend and training partner of Dustin's. I also don't think it would be that war Dustin wants to hang his hat on. So, not this one. Rafael Fiziev. This one is really good. It would be a fresh matchup, a boxing versus Muay Thai matchup. I'd like this, and I could see this one being it. Fiziev is a fresher guy they'd want to beat Poirier. Manny Moicano. This fight would be amazing. I think Moicano beats him now. Just a monster grappler. He fits the bill of up-and-coming guy the UFC wants to win against the older generation. Imagine this also. Moicano versus Dustin. Paddy Pimblett versus BSD. If Moicano beats Dustin and Paddy beats Benoit Saint Denis, suddenly you can make that Pimblett versus Moicano matchup, but now Pimblett could hit the top 5 ranking with it. I think that's a road the UFC may be thinking about. Number 12, Benoit Saint Denis. Dustin already beat him, so I can't see this one occurring. Now on to number 13, RDA. This would make sense in a veterans matchup. Two guys who have been around each other for years, but just never got to lock it in. I think the UFC won't take this one. I also wonder how good the fight would be. Don't know if this is a go out with a bang matchup. as RDA forces people to be technical. Okay, 14. Jalen Turner. This would be good. Young guy, fresh matchup, both strikers, I wouldn't mind it. Lastly, 15. Paddy Pimblett, the heel of the UFC right now. I don't see this happening because it's too much of a step up right now. Dustin is a veteran who's been in a ton of wars, has dealt with the young athletic guys. Now this will be controversial. I think Paddy could submit him. He has really nasty Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He'd be the underdog, but he's someone you'd bet a little money to win by finish. I think the UFC prefers to go against someone less proven, such as Benoit Saint Denis or Jalen Turner. Also, Paddy losing against someone about to retire wouldn't make sense for the UFC. You'd want someone who can take that star power from Paddy, but I'd watch it 100%. So to end it, I'm going to put a top 5 in order of who I think it'll be. 1. Justin Gaethje. 2. Dan Hooker. 3. Renato Moicano. 4. Charles Oliveira. And 5. Jalen Turner.